My name is Rolly Motion. I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland. I came to Toronto in 2007. On paper, I grew up with both my parents, but for the majority of my upbringing, I didn't have that much closeness with my father, nor was he around that often. We started to get closer as I grew into the man I become in my later years. The relationship with my mother, she is an angel. She worked tirelessly, worked 3 jobs if she had to take care of me and my 2 sisters. So I always want to make sure that she's taken care of. My biggest motivator would be my Uncle Deji. He would always stress to me, like, you have to get your education. If you get your education, like, you can create all of this. So it was just very inspiring as a kid to just see him say, okay, so you're gonna go into a store and just get whatever you want. I was like, anything? I can grab this. And that meant a lot. So that really channeled how I felt about education. Even if you didn't like it, even if you didn't like certain classes, you realize that, like, this is a means to an end. In Maryland, I felt like a human. Like, I didn't feel any different because what you see is what's around you. When I moved to Toronto, that quickly flipped on its head because now, you know, in a class of 30, I'm one black kid. At university, in a class of 1,000, I may be 5 black kids. So then you have this experience where you're not yourself. And that was very interesting, and I realized that in Canada, you know, a lot of minorities have that experience. There was a lot of anxiety around opening my business. You know, at first, you know, I didn't necessarily want my business to reflect that I was the owner, you know, so, and like that in itself, there's a lot of insecurities around that, like racially, where, you know, I just had this thought that, like, people would view the product as lesser, or they wouldn't, you know, just give it the fair shot that it deserved. So that's why I felt and I feel that my existence in this space matters beyond anything I could ever understand. Because now people, and especially like kids, they have a figure that they can see, okay, this is what that looks like. Because at the end of the day, as a kid and as a person, you can only dream something you've seen. Then you can imagine that, okay, that could be me. I opened Phoenix Fit House in late 2018. Being a coach means a life partner. Being a coach means community. Being a coach means support. 2 years later, it feels like a dream. I couldn't have written the story better myself. At any class you come to at Phoenix is adequate representation. Music allows me to share my scars in an easily digestible way. It's very important for me to share the human experience through songs, because realistically speaking, that's one of the only ways that it's proven that we can understand what someone else is going through. The inspiration behind my new song called Code of Conduct is the idea that when I was growing up in Maryland, there were certain things that you just had to know. You had to know and you had to understand right away in order to feel safe. What I would say to my younger self is to don't waste time trying to fit in. The most important lesson I've learned is to move with love. Things are gonna happen to you. Things that are not fair. Things that you can't change and things that you can't control. but I assure that, like, if you move with love in any direction, you're gonna be okay. You have so much value, and to harness that value through all the adversity, harness that value through all the persecution, because that value and that perspective, it's almost like that's gonna be the secret treasure that moves society forward in one way, shape, or the other. Your experience right now as a bisexual woman of color who has migrated from Jamaica to Canada will help tell a unique story and put you in a position at a seat that only you can fill. And that is the most important thing to understand, that you are so unique in your essence. So don't let it be diluted with what you see around you.